Welcome to Killer Vibes, where the shadows of Canada's darkest secrets come to life. I'm Harmony Lee, and here on Killer Vibes, we dig into true crime, unsolved murders, and a dash of the paranormal. If you see me looking down, I have all my notes down here, so let's get into it. Today, we're traveling back to a small lakeside town in northwestern Ontario, a place that rarely makes national headlines. But on one spring morning in 1973, the quiet streets of Kenora were shattered by a thunderous explosion, and one of the strangest unsolved crimes in Canadian history. This is the story of the Kenora bank robber. It was May 10th, 1973. The morning started like any other in downtown Kenora. At 11:30 a.m., a man walked into the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, carrying a rifle and a pistol. He was calm, almost too calm. Strapped to his chest was a homemade bomb, 6 sticks of dynamite, and a clamp between his teeth, a dead man's switch. If he let go, the bomb would detonate instantly. He demanded a duffel bag filled with money, a getaway truck, and a driver. The bank staff, terrified but composed, followed his instructions. One of the officers who arrived on scene, Constable Don Millard, volunteered to be the driver. He wasn't in uniform that day and was hoping the robber might see him as less of a threat. The robber and Millard left the bank together, bags of cash in hand. Outside, police had surrounded the area. Snipers waited. Dozens of bystanders watched from behind the police tape, not realizing just how close they stood to disaster. Then it happened. A single gunshot. The sniper's bullet struck the robber, and in an instant, the dead man's switch was released. And the explosion. The blast ripped through Main Street, shattering windows, money fluttering through the air like it was snowing. The man, the mystery robber, gone. Somehow, Constable Millard survived. The duffel bags of cash had shielded him from the worst of the explosion. He was badly injured, but alive. When the smoke cleared, Kenora was left with so many questions. Who was this man, and why had he come to their quiet town with such a deadly plan? Investigators had quickly discovered the robber had checked into their local hotel, the Kenora, under the name Paul Higgins. The address he'd written down in Toronto didn't exist. Inside his hotel room, a steamer trunk with the same fake name and a few personal items, and no real clue to who he was. Witnesses remembered seeing him around town days earlier, a man in his 40s, reddish beard, average built, polite, even soft-spoken. But when his body was examined, the blast had made identification nearly impossible. He carried no real ID, only a hotel receipt, a few bills, and a pair of handcuff keys. Over the decades, investigators have tried everything to unmask him. In 2003, DNA testing was done on hair found at the scene, but there was no match in any database. No missing persons report fit the description, and no one ever came forward to claim him. He was buried in an unmarked grave at the Kenora Cemetery, and this case was officially closed. 50 years later, the identity of the Kenora bank robber remains a mystery. Was he a drifter, a desperate man on the run, or something darker? Someone who planned his own violent ending? We'll never know. And for the people of Kenora, that day still is remembered. And the sound of the explosion, the shattered windows, and the eerie silence that followed. A small town forever changed by a man with no name and a story that refuses to die. What are your guys' thoughts on this story? If you don't know, I'm actually from Kenora, so I grew up hearing this story, and it's always just been super fascinating to me, and just who was this guy, you know? If you're from Kenora, comment below what you've heard about this. This is kind of all the information that I could find on this story, so I'm really curious what other people have heard or if they've heard different things, you know. Um, but until next time, stay safe and keep your vibes killer. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for more dark stories from Canada. Bye.